the other day to check out my hospital, or birthing clinic, I guess is a closer term. We went to check it out and reserve it and make sure everything is straightened out. The place I'm going to use looks really nice in the pictures on the internet. When we went to check it out, we couldn't actually go into the birthing area. It's also a usual doctor's office, so if I wanted to go there to get my ultrasounds and stuff, I could. The place gets good reviews, but it looked a lot dinkier once we got there than it did on the internet. And on the inside, there was, looked like some pretty high technology in the waiting room anyway. They had, I don't know if you're aware, but in Japan, in a lot of doctor's offices, you will change to slippers at the door and leave your outside shoes, on a shoe rack. The hospital or the clinic's slippers are sterilized. But usually they're just on a shelf and you pull off the slippers and change your shoes. But at this place they had an automatic slipper dispenser. And you just pushed a button and the little slippers dropped down, and when you're finished you put them back on top and push another button and it sucks them back down and sterilizes them. So that was the first time I had seen anything like that. So let's hope their other equipment is as advanced as that. I've been talking to a lot of women who have birthed in Japan, and it seems like there's a lot of differences between clinics and hospitals. You have choice. You can go to a major hospital to give birth, or you can go to a smaller clinic-style hospital like this one. And I don't know, there's probably other choices, but these are the only two that we checked out. The hospital choice did not offer epidural at all. This place that I'm going to is supposed to have it, but it's going to be expensive. It's not covered under insurance, and I'm still not sure that I'll actually receive it once I get there, because I've heard a lot of stories about women who were promised it but they weren't given it at the time for various reasons, such as the doctor who does that was just not there, or he was off or busy, or just based on my experiences in Japan, I'm sort of expecting a low chance of actually receiving it, even though I've reserved it. It's gonna cost about $1,000, so I'm not really sure that I would be too upset if I don't get it. I'm not sure. That's one of those things I just really can't decide on. It's a lot of money, and I've heard a lot of women say that natural is better, but then I've also heard a lot of awful horror stories about Japan, so I'm really not sure. It's just going to depend on what happens in my case, I guess. Apparently it's different for everyone. But anyway, back to the hospital. The receptionists were really mean looking. I don't know. I don't know if it's just because they have to deal with snotty-nosed kids all day or what, but they just were not very pleasant at all. They were pretty old and really strict looking, which these were just the receptionists. Hopefully the nurses and staff are a little more friendly. It was the first time, though, I had seen this kind of witchy look among staff in Japan, so that was worrisome. But there are some things about this place that I really like, and one of them is that the baby can room in with the mother all day, and at night time they do take them to a nursery, but they still promote breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is basically the norm here, it seems, and so they would call me during the night whenever the baby needed to nurse. So I really like that breastfeeding and closeness with the mother is encouraged. This is going to be kind of a long hospital stay. I thought it was like a week, but apparently more average is like 5 days, if there's no problem. So that's quite a bit longer than the US stay. And they teach you all the basics of caring for a baby during this time. If this is not your first baby, I guess it's just like a refresher course, or it's also just a time to take it easy, get away from your housework, you know, just a time to rest and recover. It looks like I'll be in a room with maybe 2 or 3 other beds, it looks like from the website. I'm not too sure. Apparently visitation is from 2 to 9 every day, but they also ask you to please not stay very long. That's just more like the window of opportunity, but they don't want the guests to stay the whole time. So I guess probably 2 hours a day is what they're going to allow for visitation, or what would be socially ideal, you know. And I remember being in the hospital before, how strict they were about time, and I'm sure it'll be the same this time. It was like you wake up at 6 and breakfast is at 7, and you know, they have all these procedures. But luckily with those hours, 2 to 9, I think my husband can make it to see us some days. I'm not sure who can be in the delivery room. I know my husband can be, which I'm happy about, because, you know, some people don't want, some places don't want the husband in the room either, I've heard. But I really need that because, you know, I'm not sure how good my Japanese is going to be under those situations. They have some things they ask for each patient to bring with them in a bag. Some night clothes and like some kind of cloth thing. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to figure this out later. And a waist nipper, which is some kind of waistband thing. I'm not too sure about that either. And some other stuff, some tissue papers, towels, bath towels, slippers, some nursing stuff. I don't know. I'll go through this later when I actually pack my bag. I'll share that with y'all. But that's pretty much all I know about it at this time. I think it's going to cost, that place is going to cost a little bit more than what the government reimburses. After we have the baby, the government's going to reimburse part of the money, or the majority of the money for the hospital, but not all of it. I think there are some places that are cheap enough that it does cover all of it, but this place is a little bit more expensive. But I think it's pretty much the standard. And compared to the hospital didn't have, you know, the big hospital, they didn't have epidurals, and I think the quarters are a lot closer. So there's a lot of women in the room all together. When I stayed in the hospital before, there were about 8 women in the same room, so I figured it probably wouldn't be much different with the babies. I think I've heard it's like six women in the same room. And I don't think they let you room with the baby. I heard that you don't. They still promote breastfeeding though, I'm pretty sure. That seems to be pretty common here, that breastfeeding is supported or encouraged. But it's more of a calling the mother basis. I've also heard some people say that they were able to room with the baby day and night at some clinics, but mine is just by day. And I don't know, that might be a good thing or it might not be a good thing, you know. If I'm going to be in the room with other women too, and they're all going to have their babies there, you know, it might be better that they take them to the nursery at night. Because, you know, like 4 screaming babies all night would probably be too much. I'm not really sure how all that works, but I'm figuring it out little by little. So, that's the current state of checking out the hospital.